Hi guys, Mr. McCartney here. This is latest Loom video all about how to create mood boards. So it's really good, hopefully if you can see this PowerPoint, I'll just put it on full screen. It's really good for linking to component 2 learning game A. And basically it's just another kind of addition to the experimental production kind of PowerPoints that I've put together so far. So things like how to use pixel art, how to use Canva, how to make a front cover design as well. All good stuff that can go into your experimental folder, your portfolio for component 2 learning game A. So this one shouldn't take you too long to do. I put a PowerPoint together with a couple of resources that I sent out just the other day. So this is basically just the corresponding PowerPoint that goes with it for anyone that is struggling a little bit. But I know that a lot of you have tried to do mood boards in the past a little bit with me. You might have done them in art as well, or maybe done them in DT when you've had to create things. So as you can see from this first slide, it's connected to pre-production tasks. There are 3 phases within this kind of the production of a product. So you've got pre-production, the actual production stage where you actually produce something yourself, and then the post-production stage, which comes after, hence the word post, which is where you edit things and refine it into your final product. So at the moment then, if I crack on, purpose and use of mood boards. So this lesson is all about examining what the purpose of a mood board is, why we use it, where it kind of fits in the production process, and it's going to culminate in you having a go at creating your own. But it is not very difficult to do. I'm going to try and get you using things like Google to search for lots of different images to kind of create your mood board during the course of this PowerPoint. So, what is the purpose of a mood board? At this point then, I'd like you to have a bit of a think about what the purpose of a mood board is. As you can see there, it says share with your partner, so it's designed for normal lessons, which you might have forgotten what a normal lesson actually is, because we've been out of the classroom so long. But basically then, the purpose of a mood board is simply to generate ideas. And a mood board is like a visual collage of images, text, colours, font types, iconography, brands, anything that you can think of basically that will inspire your final product goes into a mood board, and then you can kind of step back and look at it, and it gives you inspiration. It can indicate what kind of color scheme you're going to go for. It can give you an oversight of who your target market is, what kind of age group you're going to go for, what kind of person you're going to target as well, because it's not just about demographics and getting an idea of who your broad target audience is, but a mood board can really help you kind of narrow it down into your psychographics as well, I think of it that way. So on the slide then, and you have this PowerPoint already, guys, so feel free to have a little look through it. Like I say, this this video, this YouTube video is simply something that links to the PowerPoint, so it's just to help you out if you're struggling a little bit, or if you just want to watch it, and it might give you a few ideas if you listen to the things that I say. But what is a mood board? So a mood board, like I was saying, is a visual tool that is used to help generate ideas for a project. It can be used as a way of collecting ideas from different people. It is used to show how something will look or feel. It's a way of visualizing the look of something and sharing ideas. And the target audience for a mood board is usually designers. So that's true. A lot of people that use mood boards and create them are people who are designers, publishers, producers of media products, so people that work in the print industry, magazines, people that work in the design industry as well. So that's why I said to you at the beginning how you might have had experience of creating mood boards with people like Mr. Scarsbrook, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Plumley, people like that. If you've ever had to do a lot of that kind of BTEC work, mood boards might be a part of their coursework. Likewise with Miss Sacadeli as well, you might have had a go at creating mood boards with her, because again, it's part of the design kind of artistry of when you create something. You've got to collect your ideas first. So this one on the right hand side, as you can see, gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of things that someone will be thinking of when they are about to embark upon a product, and when they want to create something. They don't just dive in. And so obviously with what we've been doing, especially with component 2, and what some of you are going to be moving on to as well, is where you have to actually recreate something. And so before we get to that stage, you've got to do pre-production work, experimental work, and mood boards fit into that. So that's why I want you to have a little go at doing it. So you can see on the right hand side here, you've got kind of color schemes a little bit. You've got kind of images of they look like mugs and cups and things like that. You've got chairs as well, which again, kind of similar floral patterns. So again, this would give someone the clear idea that they want some kind of floral design in it as well. You've got quite a lot of, it says there, retro. So it looks as though this person, again, is going for that kind of classic kind of retro kind of design. I'm not too sure what they're creating. It's just taken off the internet, that image there, to be honest with you. So what I've got for you at the moment then, once you have a little look at this slide and hopefully you have a better understanding of what a mood board is, I'd like you to fill in box 1 of the learning mat. And so if I just go on to the next slide, what I've got for you here is just a bit of a screenshot of what I mean when I say learning mat, and that's on the email that I sent out just the other day, so it's one of the attachments. What I'd like you to do is just spend 5 minutes or so having a little go at that box there, which should not be too difficult to do. So it just says, what are the 4 things that a mood board should do? I'm not going to talk too much more about any of these other boxes just yet, just because it'll be it'll just complicate things, so we'll get to that when I get to it in the actual PowerPoint. So for now, just do that first box. What are the 4 things that a mood board should do? So have a bit of a think. I'm not going to give you the answers. You're going to have to play back the video, or you're going to have to look back through the PowerPoint to remind yourself of that. Okay. So at this stage, if you're watching this video, I would recommend that you pause it and have a go at that. Like I've just said, you'll have to pause it and then go back to the email I sent out and open up that learning mat, which is in front of you now. So once you've done that, I'd like you to have a little look at this for me as well. So it says, why are mood boards so important? So this is not just a generic exercise. I don't want you to just create mood boards for the sake of creating a mood board. It's not like I can't think of anything else that you can be doing in your spare time during lockdown. This is a very important task. It fits into the spec. It fits into exactly where you are at the moment, which is for some of you about to embark upon Component 2 Learning Aim A. For some of you in Year 10, we are kind of circling back round to Component 2 Learning Aim A. So whether you're in Year 9 watching this video or Year 10, because of the circumstances, because we're in lockdown, you've actually kind of come to a point where you're both doing a similar kind of thing. So it actually benefits both Year 9s and 10s at the moment. So that's why I've actually sent this out to both groups. And what I'd like you to do, if you just see at the bottom here, there's a hyperlink to a website. If I just go on to the next slide, just provided you there with another screenshot, the link's at the bottom again. So the screenshot there just links you to the article 7 reasons why mood boards are worth the extra time. And as it says there, mood boards are a tried and tested time-saving creative device. Here, designer and founder of creative agency Digital Surgeons, Peter Senna, explains why he thinks they're so effective. And as you scroll down, this person gives 7 really good reasons why mood boards are still worth the extra time to do. And he goes into quite a bit of detail. So it will be really good for you to make some notes on what he says, because I don't want you to just create some mood boards for me. I also want you to be able to explain them as well. Do me a little bit of a write-up, put some annotations around your mood boards, and try to really dig deep into what kind of things you've selected to go onto the mood board. So I don't want you to just get random stuff and just create something that looks like a nice colourful collage. You need to actually explain why you've chosen those images and how those images indicate the kind of product that you want to create, or for instance, who you will target. But we'll get to that in the next couple of slides. Okay, so at this point, what I would advise you to do is hit the pause button on the PowerPoint. Sorry, on the YouTube video. Obviously, on the PowerPoint, you then need to find this article and give it a read, make some notes. Okay, and then obviously you can then go back to YouTube and press play again. Okay. So if you've done that, then what I'd like you to do now is go on to the next slide. And as it says here, discuss how have these mood boards been put together, what particular industry do you think they're from. Okay, so again, these are just a whole variety of mood boards. They are quite clearly from the same kind of industry. As you can see, if you think about the kind of people that are on them, okay, you've got quite a few females just here, okay, on these examples of mood boards that I've got off Google. So clearly that would indicate to you who the target audience is. It's pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, the people that you put on your mood board, a bit like a magazine, but entirely like a magazine, the people you put on the mood board would indicate who you're targeting, okay, in your age group, so gender, age group, things like that. And then if you look at lots of different things that are on the mood boards, clearly these are mood boards that would, like it said in the other slide, this would be like designer mood boards, so people who work in the design industry, probably fashion industry, who are creating certain kinds of styles. So you've got different kinds of fabrics, you've got different kinds of people on there, different types of dresses, handbags, all those kind of feminine kind of accessories as well. So it's quite clear what kind of people and what kind of things they are going for, and how that would inspire maybe, like, say, a particular seasonal look or a particular trend for a certain kind of like fashion week or something like that. But those are the kind of mood boards, that you would expect to see in the fashion industry. These particular ones, my finger's just in the way. I'm just going to try and move it up a little bit so I can see what I've said here. So, how have these particular mood boards communicated their brand? What industry do you think they're from? Okay, so again, you've got a few more, or a couple more, just there for you. So these particular ones, again, especially the one on the right hand side, would give you kind of indication that it's more for fashion again. As you can see, the fabrics, the scarves, and things like that you've got on the left hand side. It looks a little bit more kind of photographic. So again, fashion and things like that, but has a different kind of vibe to it and tone to it, as opposed to the other mood boards. Okay, so these are just two examples of mood boards that have been created. And on this slide, I'd just like to take a moment to have a think about how they could be improved. They are mood boards, quite clearly, but to be honest, what I don't like to see in mood boards is too much neatness. Now, I like to be neat, I like to be organised as best I can, but to be honest with you, I think these are too neat. And what I mean by that is that if you look at the pictures of them, they're all nicely kind of organised and straight. With a mood board, I'd like them to be overlapping a little bit more, maybe at slightly different angles as well. And I don't really want to be able to see the kind of base layer on your mood board either. So I want you to completely fill every little bit of space. So if it's on a white background, like an A3 kind of sheet, or an A3 kind of slide, like a landscape slide on a PowerPoint, if that's how you want to do it, or on a Word document, I want you to try and fill every bit of white that you can see, fill it with different kinds of things. So like I've just said, images of people, okay, because I want you to think about the kind of people and the way that they're represented. They need to go on the mood board. I want to think about settings. I want to think about different kinds of font types, different kind of color schemes, different kinds of brands when creating your mood board. So I really want you to really think about it. And so going back to what this slide is getting at then, so how can these particular mood boards be improved? One thing that, in my opinion, and hopefully you've tried to give you a bit of a moment to think about it as I've been talking, hopefully you've thought about how you could create some annotations around the side. So obviously you can't really see anything on these at the moment. So on your documents, if you do it on a PowerPoint slide or if you do it on a Word document, if you can try and leave a bit of a border around the side, what I'd like you to try and do is, after you've actually created the mood board, fill it up with annotations, so text boxes explaining to me, explain to me what kind of images you've gone for and why you've done it. So how each one of those images inspires what you are trying to indicate and communicate to your target market. So if, for instance, you selected these women just here, if you were a designer, well, what is it about these particular images that you liked? Why did you want to put those onto your mood board? Is it the style? Is it the kind of dresses that they're wearing? Is it their dress codes, and is it their body language? Would you try and replicate this? Is that why you put it on there? If you put like a particular color scheme on there, then again, why have you gone for that particular color scheme? If you've tried to communicate a clear color scheme across the whole of your mood board, tell me about that. If you put some different font styles on there as well, tell me why you put a few font styles on there. Why do you like them? How do those particular font styles fit in to the same genre across the whole mood board? How do those font styles fit into the color scheme, or how do they fit into the whole image of the mood board? You need to explain all these things to me, please. Okay. So, this out of the way, toolbar. So what assets then do we include on a mood board? So hopefully by now, either in lessons with me before when we talked about this kind of stuff, or in the course of this PowerPoint, you've thought about how on mood boards you have to fill it up with things like photographs, logos and brands, similar products that inspire the product that you're trying to create. Obviously for a lot of you, this is just a general kind of PowerPoint to get you to experiment with putting a mood board together. So I'll leave it up to you what your product could be. I don't mind if you want to create a mood board from scratch, and if you were to try and create, let's say, a brand new digital device like a mobile phone, what kind of mood board would you put together before you even started getting to the design stage? Okay, so what kind of mood board would you do in the pre-production stage if that was your product? If you wanted to, say that you were a car manufacturer, say that you wanted to create a brand new sports car, and I said, right, create me a mood board that will inspire the kind of sports car that you want to create. Okay, so say that you work for Ferrari, and I come in and say, right, I want you to create a brand new fast sports car, create the pre-production materials. You'd have to obviously sketch out your ideas, but you'd have to create a mood board first to generate some ideas and get some inspiration. So you need to think about the kind of color schemes you'd want, the kind of fonts that you'd want for Ferrari emblazoned on the side of that car. So how do you want it to look? What kind of names might you go for that car? What other kind of cars already exist out there that would inspire the kind of design and the aerodynamics? If you were going to create, let's say, a new Ferrari car, you're not going to get something like a Range Rover. You're not going to stick pictures of a Range Rover all over your mood board simply because a Range Rover is a completely different style of car. And so the boss of Ferrari will probably come in the next day and say, well, no, I'm going to sack you because that's completely wrong. I'm not going to create or get you to create a car that looks anything like a Range Rover. Okay, so go back to the drawing board. So have a think about it. You've got to justify the images you put on there. So as it says there, text and font styles, colours, quotes even, I suppose, representations of people that are relevant to the genre and obviously indicate the kind of target audience that you're going for. So like I've just said, sticking with that example of a car, if you're going to create a car like a Ferrari, like a nice kind of sports car, you're not probably going to be putting people who are really old on there. You're probably not going to be putting people at the other end of the spectrum, so people who are really young. Hopefully you can see what I'm getting at there. Okay, obviously you need to think about the kind of target market that would be in the socio-economic bracket who will be able to afford that car. And obviously it's not going to be at those ends of the spectrum. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. It needs to be a certain gender that they might be wanting to target, and someone who's got the spending power, that disposable income to afford a Ferrari. So you need to think about it when you get images of Google to put onto your mood board. So think about it. And at the end there it says colours as well. Okay, so obviously colours play an integral part of your mood board. Fill in box 2 of your learning mats. If you go on to the next slide. Now on this one, you've got box number 2, as you can see on the left-hand slide there, with the brackets around it. So it says write down 6 different assets that can be included on a mood board. So pretty straightforward. You can either go back onto the previous slide, or you can try and test your memory and think about, hopefully you're picking this up and you can come up with 6 things that you need to put on the mood board. That's what we mean by assets, by the way, but basically 6 things that you need to put onto the mood board. So it's as simple as that. Again, this document here, this kind of learning mat document, is one of the attachments in the email. If you can't find any of these things that I'm talking about, then just email me and I'll send them out to you again. Okay, so assets then, so the things that go on. So the asset that we use will depend on the type of product that we are creating a mood board for. So in the exam, now I know that whether you're in year 9 or 10, no one's actually got to discussions about the exam yet. The year 10s obviously are the closest ones to it, and you guys will be starting to revise for the exam not too long after we come back to school. So hopefully when we come back sometime in September, I'm hoping, we will start to discuss component 3, which will kick in towards the beginning of February. For the year 9s, again, you don't need to worry too much about component 3 because you aren't there yet. However, it's still good to know that one of the tasks that you might be given in component 3, you will be given like a brief, which you should be familiar with now. You've all dealt with the idea of being given like a brief, like teen scene, okay, where a kind of a fictional company gives you a brief. They give you information, and they basically would commission you in the real world to make something or do something, so you get paid if you worked in this industry. So in this case, you could be commissioned to create something, and obviously you would have to create the pre-production planning materials before you did that. Okay, so you need to think about the kind of product that you are designing and what kind of mood board you would need to create. So if you, for instance, on the left hand side there, were creating a website, those are the kind of assets that you would need to put on there. If you're creating something to do with like a brand new kitchen and you worked obviously in that industry, those are the kind of things that you would need to put on there again. So as it says there, fabrics, tiles, paint colors, wallpaper. If you were going to create a brand new music video, again, you would not just kind of throw yourself into creating a music video. You would have to create a mood board that encompass those kind of assets. So images of different styles, fashion, location, clothing, titles, fonts and font colors, camera angles, other pre-production things that you might need to do if you were to create a music video, as I'm sure some of you will know, would be things like storyboards, okay, where you would have to map out how you are going to actually shoot your video, because you can't just dive in, okay, to creating a product. And you will know this when creating things, like I've said, in DT, in art as well, any kind of creative subjects that have coursework like media does. Also for people like Mr. Oxford as well, for his BTEC, very similar. It's all part of the whole kind of production stage. There are different stages, different phases that you've got to go through. So as it says there at the bottom, fill in box 3 of the learning mat. So if I just click onto the next slide, again on this screen grab that I've got for you, you can see on the left hand side that is the third box just there. So I'm creating a mood board for a billboard advert for a new action movie. So similar to any kind of exam, if you think about it, you can highlight there the most important bits. And it says write down 5 different assets that you could include on the mood board. So obviously, if you are creating something that is going to be for a brand new action movie, and it's some kind of billboard advert, then you've got to think about it. What kind of things would you be including on that mood board if it was a specific kind of genre? So in this case, if it's an action movie, so have a think. I'm not going to give you the ideas now. You need to think about what it would be. Okay. Any problems, obviously, just email me and I'll help you as best I can. Okay, so if you go on to the next bit of the PowerPoint, as it says here, complete the exam questions on your learning mat. So what I'd like you to do now, if you have a little scan through the remaining questions on that learning mat on this document, you've got a few different kind of very mini kind of briefs. So at the bottom here it says youth want you to create, so youth would be like a fictional company, want you to create a mood board for the website. Identify 4 items, so basically 4 assets that could be included on the mood board. And then if you go over to the right hand side, you've got again fictional companies called Winged Breath. You've got one here, Three Oaks. So if I just look at this one here, Three Oaks for a second. Three Oaks, a supermarket chain, is launching a summer bank holiday sale. In the sale, it will be offering discounts on its summer sun products, including sun cream, barbecues, and ice cream. You have been asked to develop the pre-production, so that's why I said mood boards are part of pre-production before we actually get onto the design phase, the production phase. So you've been asked to create the pre-production documents for the advertising campaign for this sale. So one of the main methods of advertising will be the use of printed adverts in magazines. Three Oaks has asked that you produce a mood board for the magazine adverts. So state one purpose of the mood board, state 3 items or 3 assets that can be included on the mood board, and explain one way that the mood board can be used to plan for the magazine adverts. And then if you look at the top one, again, I'm not going to read that through for you, but what you need to do, like in any kind of exam situation, or when you get like a brief in BTEC, you've got to, with a highlighter, take a moment to really dig deep into the brief. That information there is absolutely vital to being able to answer the questions. So you've got to, either with a highlighter or a ruler, highlighter is fine, just go through, and obviously you're looking for, right, where is the target audience mentioned? Where does it mention the genre or topic? For instance, so Winged Breath, as it says at the top there, is about a rock band, a 4-person rock band, so you know it's about music. So straight away in the first sentence, the first line, you know already, or should be thinking about already, what kind of assets, what kind of things should be going into my mood board based on what kind of company they are, who they're targeting, and so on. And it's not too difficult to do. Like I said a few times, if there's any issues whatsoever, just get back in touch with me, okay? And I'll help you as best I can. So, as a recap then, you probably don't need this slide too much because I have mentioned it already. But again, that is just a very quick recap of what makes up a mood board. So again, not too difficult. You should know it quite well by now. And what I'd like you to do then, after you've done the document, the learning mat, is I'd like you to create a mood board. Again, it says 15 minutes on the PowerPoint, but you're at home. I don't mind you spending a little bit longer on it, making it as good as possible. If it takes you half an hour, it takes you half an hour. I'll just be very happy if all of you, a lot of you, some of you can be watching this video, doing the work. I know some of you have already been sending me work. I thank you, to all those people. But take the time that you need to create for me, in this case, a mood board for a website which is about London. So using what you've learned, create a mood board, use one slide on PowerPoint. If you want to create it on a Word document or a publishing document, that's okay. I think PowerPoint works best because you can create a few slides and then you can create a few different mood boards. So don't just stop at one. If you want to do more, go for it. I haven't got a problem with that. So include 6 relevant assets for a website. Justify each. So the thing is, as it says, 6 relevant assets. Again, I don't want you to have any white space really, or any kind of blank space behind or between these images. I'd like you to fill it all up. Okay, so don't stop at 6. Do as many as you want. Okay, I probably should have edited that anyway. Okay, so fill up the mood board and make it as complete and full as you can. One thing that would be good to do though, like I said, is to provide some annotations and justifications for what kind of things you've put into the mood board. So you can either do this on another slide, or you can maybe kind of squash the mood board up a little bit on whatever kind of program you use to provide yourself with a little text box at the side, or you can make the mood board a little bit smaller so you've got a few text boxes around the whole side, the whole perimeter of your mood board. I'll leave that up to you. But one or two of you that have already sent me a couple of mood boards in the last 24 hours, it would be good to maybe go back and do a little bit of writing just to explain to me what you put in the mood boards and why. Okay, so coming to a bit of an end now on the PowerPoint. This is like an extension kind of challenge task, and it's quite straightforward. You've got 2 very clear target consumers at the bottom there in the circles. You have got kind of explorers, so we've got a bit of psychographic kind of analysis there. So explorers, people who are in the 16 to 21-year-old kind of age bracket, females and students. So you've got a lot of information there. So basically that's kind of like the key bits of information that you might have been able to pull out of a brief. And then on the right hand side, you've got people who are very aspirational people who are between 21 and 29, males who work in an office and work perhaps in sales jobs. So you've got to think about what kind of people they are. So what kind of products would you put onto a mood board? So that kind of person who is a male, who is between those ages there, who works in an office, what kind of things might they be interested in buying? So I'll give you a bit of a hint just before I sign off. those kind of people on the right hand side might be interested in think of like GQ magazine, Esquire, those kind of magazines. So they're going to be people who are probably interested in looking good. So maybe designer clothes, nice cars, nice watches, money, nice houses, nice holidays, kind of high-end luxury kind of things. That's the kind of thing that a person like that might might aspire to own. And so you need to also think about the kind of males that you could put onto your mood board. So you're probably not going to put someone like Ed Sheeran, maybe. I'm not against Ed Sheeran, but I'm just thinking someone who usually dresses in a very casual way. That seems to be his kind of persona. So that's why I'm mentioning him. If you Google him, you'll see what I mean. He's always dressed in a hoodie. It's going to be somebody, and I don't know if you know this person, but somebody maybe who is like Bradley Cooper, okay, or Gerard Butler, okay, quite big Hollywood actors, or David Beckham. Those kind of people are always dressed very smartly. So on that mood board, if that's the mood board that you create, because you need to create one or the other, if you want to create both, that's absolutely fine. You need to think about the kind of person that would indicate that kind of market and the kind of people that a 21 to 29-year-old will be wanting to be like. Okay. On the left hand side, a female who is a student, who's between 16 and 21, who is an explorer. You need to be thinking about that's going to be someone who's probably more interested in adventure, holidays. Again, if it's a female, you need to maybe think about the kind of things that she might wear. So kind of like dresses, colour scheme needs to go in there as well. Font types, the kind of products that she might want to buy for like fragrances and things like that. So again, that one is quite a straightforward one. But like I said, any problems whatsoever, by all means, get in touch with me. I'm loving the stuff that you're sending to me every week. The stuff that you sent me, your front cover designs are fantastic. All the logo and brands that you've been creating on Canva are, again, brilliant stuff. A lot of you have really tried your best with using things like pixel art. All these things I will be going over again with you when we get back to school. But like I said in my email the other day, and I'm just going to echo just before I finish, because I'm probably boring you to tears already, is that if you don't do these things, it will set you back. I know that some of you are having issues with computers. I know that not everyone has computers, and that's fair enough. Okay, and you people are getting work sent home to you and things like that, and we're trying to overcome that. But if you sit back and you're not doing any of these tasks for me, and not having a go or not communicating, it's only going to be more work when you get back to school. Because this is not just a random task that I'm getting you to do. It does fit into component 2, Learning 8A, which you guys need to be working on, whether you're in year 9 or year 10. Okay, both of the year groups are the same. Okay, in terms of the kind of position that you're in. Okay, if there's anything at all that didn't make sense, I'm sure there's something. Please get in touch. Other than that, I hope that this PowerPoint and this video has helped clarify a few things for you guys. Keep up the great work, and I hope that you're all staying safe and staying sane. Okay. Cheers, guys. Bye for now.